Say hi, BookTube. Hi. Hi, BookTube. Hi, BookTube.
Hi, BookTube.
Hey, BookTube. Hi. Hi. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly, and today you picked a really good one because today I'm going to be talking about a project that I am going to be embarking on in 2022. Now, this is the first of a couple of different videos, a couple of different projects that I want to accomplish in 2022. I'm doing this for a number of reasons, one of which is that I wanted to be able to look back and either, sort of poke fun at myself. My future self is going to poke fun at this self right now in the goals that I made, whether they were unrealistic or just really captured a moment in time. Because I am a mood reader, so my moods fluctuate, my reading taste fluctuates, and so I want to be able to look back and have it. The second is that I like to make goals. Goals are fun, and goals are just a way to keep me motivated and keep me on track for what I want to accomplish in my life, my reading life. And then the third is that I want to be able to document the journey. As I make progress on my goals, I want to be able to say, oh, look, I made those goals and I made progress on them. So if you're interested in following my reading journey and my goal to grow as a reader, then I would really encourage you to subscribe. So my this goal that I have to grow as a reader is a mammoth of a goal. If you are new to BookTube or the new to BookTube lingo, Mammoth is a book, represents a single volume book that is 800 pages or more. That seems to be the consensus of what a mammoth actually is. And so when somebody says, what's the longest book that you've read, whether it be here or in real life, nobody really asks me in my real life. But here on BookTube, the questions come up either in tags or in conversation. And I always have to, if I'm being honest, and I am, I always have to say Infinite Jest, which is by David Foster Wallace. And my project, I've been thinking about how to structure this video so it's not a complete mess. And so I'm going to just talk about my project first, then I'm going to talk about my, my relationship with Infinite Jest, my relationship with other mammoths, and then some contenders. We'll get into that in a moment. So my project is this. I want to unseat Infinite Jest as the longest book that I've read. I'm tired of it. It is a postmodern novel by David Foster Wallace that talks about two to three main things. Tennis being the first one, drugs being the second one, and mental health being the third. And so the way that I describe this novel, I was trying to come up with a metaphor or an idea for how to get to describe this novel. This is a very character-driven novel, but the way that David Foster Wallace seems to have created his characters is like this. Take a bunch of characters, write their names down on a piece of paper, so it could be like young boy who has a weird relationship with his father, mother who is a grammarian, and a super tidy person, dramatic older brother, something like that. So you take all of these character profiles, cut them up in strips, and put them in a bowl. Then you take a second bowl and you come up with all of the most odd mental health issues. So secrecy or, the self-consciousness over profuse sweating, or you could just do something like won't be able to make it in real life. All of these worries or mental health issues, depression, anxiety. So you write all of those and you stick them in a bowl. Though, depression and anxiety are pretty normal. I mean, not normal, but common. But think about common and not common, okay? Then take a third bowl and come up with odd, strange, the weirdest you can think of personality quirks, okay? So you cut those up into strips separately, put them in a bowl. Now, the way that David Foster Wallace seems to have come up with his characters is that he picks a character profile, a mental health issue, and a quirky personality trait, puts them together, and that is his character. And then he puts that character through trauma. So that's really how David Foster Wallace seems to have come up with his characters. It's a very strange book. And the way I came to read it was that I had read about David Foster Wallace as a really bright young man, a talented young writer, and I wanted to read his book, his most famous work, Infinite Jest. And so what happened was that I bought this book I bought this book, not from the library. My library didn't have it, and so I bought it while I was working at the library, and I started reading it. I was telling my husband about it. It was really like challenging. David Foster Wallace has a knack for language, and he's incredibly tangential, and he can really paint a scene. But it's a difficult read. He's not very kind to his readers. So as I was reading this, my husband was like, that sounds really good. And so immediately he bought it on his Kindle, and then we decided to read it together, which was really a special experience. And so I've always held this book. I've always held Infinite Jest in high regard. And then I joined BookTube, and I have come to realize through many things that Infinite Jest is really just a postmodern novel, and there are better things out there according to other people, and so I'm ready to unseat this as the longest book I've ever read. It will always hold a special place in my heart, but I'm just ready to move on. I'm ready to grow, okay? Like, I'm ready to grow myself as a reader, and the wonderful and bizarre and amazing thing about that is that the only thing you have to do is to read another book you just have to put the time in to read it, to make that your goal and to do it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to unseat Infinite Jest. Okay, so let's talk about other mammoths that I've read. It's actually longer than Infinite Jest, and that would be Lord of the Rings. So when I was a spring chicken, I was the springiest spring chicken that ever did sprung. My husband and I had just started dating. I was so young, and he loved Lord of the Rings, and of course me and I am a hopeless romantic. I was like, oh well, if this is your favorite book, I'm gonna read it. And then as I was looking through my course catalog in college, there was a Lord of the Rings class being offered. So I read Lord of the Rings. This is my copy from college. I still have notes in it and things in it. Oh, and a photograph of me when I was a young babe. So what happened was that I took the class, and it was a wonderful class taught by an older professor who had a wealth of knowledge that he bestowed upon his students about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. But tell me if any of you are like this, but if you are tasked to read something at a pace that you cannot really control and are assigned to write about things that you don't necessarily want to write about, then what happens is that it becomes less fun. And so I associate Lord of the Rings, which is longer than Infinite Jest, with a not very fun time in my life. I was just a really busy undergraduate student and had work up to my nose, and so I had to read this in a way that I didn't want to read it. Now, I have revisited it. I think Tolkien is brilliant. I think that he deserves every kind word that is ever uttered about him. He creates a whole world, a whole language system, creatures, and an adventure that is absolutely unforgettable. But I also think of this as not one big novel, but as 3 novels packed into one. I think of them as The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. And yeah, so I have a difficult time saying, this is the longest book I've read, because you could say that it's 3 books. And I have a difficult time saying that it's my favorite, because I really do associate it with that memory of being in college and stressed out. So I'm not going to read Lord of the Rings in 2022. The next book that I own that is much longer than Infinite Jest, but I don't want to read it. I don't want it to be the longest book that I've read, and I don't want to mention it a ton on my channel because it has so much controversy surrounding it, and that is Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. I'm sorry, Margaret that you have so much controversy surrounding your name. I have not read this. I have thought about reading it in 2022. I might read it in 2022, but I don't want to mention this as the longest book that I've read, partly because this is a pocket paperback and it comes in at 1,448 pages, but mostly because it really does stir up a lot of controversy and intense feelings, rightly so. And I just don't want to invite that controversy into my life. So Gone with the Wind, though I do want to read it, it will probably be in 2022. It will not be, it will not officially unseat Infinite Jest, in my opinion. Okay, the strongest contender, the book that is haunting me, that I cannot stop thinking about. I literally think about this book almost every single day, which is kind of intense. I really just cannot stop thinking about it. It is haunting me like a ghost, okay? And that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This comes in at over 1,200 pages. It is a classic Russian literature novel written by the famous author Leo Tolstoy. And, you know, I heard there's a huge span of characters. And I this is talked highly about on BookTube and many other places as just an amazing novel. It's classy, it's classic, classier than Infinite Jest. I really would like to read this. I started Anna Karenina and I stopped that. That's only about 900 pages, so it wouldn't unseat Infinite Jest. I stopped reading it because I was reading it at the wrong time in my life. It was just not the time for me to read it. And so Infinite Jest is, I mean, not Infinite Jest, War and Peace is here, and it keeps on talking to me. It keeps on saying, Shelly, read me. And I'm saying, if if nothing horrible is bestowed upon me, then, I will be reading this in 2022, and this might very well unseat Infinite Jest. However, I have some backup options in case it goes very poorly with me and Leo Tolstoy. I will probably actually, just as an aside, I will probably buy the Penguin Classics edition of War and Peace on my Kindle, partly because I don't know if I want to read this version, and I've heard that the Penguin Classics version is the most readable and ultimately will probably lend itself to being the best experience, and so I'll probably read it with that. But in case, who knows, maybe I get through 500 pages of War and Peace and I'm like, this is not for me. I need to stop, like, this is not for me. So then I have come up with two other options. The first being A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. This comes in at over 1,400 pages. And it is about, I think it spans the life of a single boy, and there's a lot of political intrigue, a lot of moving pieces, and it's set with the backdrop of India. That's basically all I know about it, but a lot of people here on BookTube who have read it said it was a really great experience, a wonderful novel, and that every page was just absolutely fantastic. So I had thought, perhaps if Leo Tolstoy is too challenging, though I don't think he will be, but perhaps if he is too challenging, if it's a little bit too much and I need maybe an easier read, but something that unseats Infinite Jest, and I could highly recommend as a wonderful read, then A Suitable Boy is there for me. The last one is Rebecca West, Black Hawk and Gray Falcon, which is a travel diary. It's Rebecca West's travel diary through Yugoslavia. I have heard Steve Donahue sing its praises over and over again. It comes in at 1,181 pages. And what's impressive is that she creates a style and then keeps up that style throughout her whole entire travel log, which is over 1,100 pages. So I've heard it's pretty amazing. What's going on here, Harry? What's going on here? I've heard it's amazing, and so I've been really thinking about that as the book that also might unseat Infinite Jest, and I might pick that up. Again, A Suitable Boy, and it's cold here in South Carolina, and my nose keeps on running, so pardon that if, pardon that, y'all, pardon that. So anyways, but yeah, so I've been thinking about Rebecca West's book, and I like reading long books on my Kindle just because it renders a bit of an easier reading experience. I can take it anywhere. Sticky hands can touch it and it's not going to ruin the pages. My kiddos can take a marker to my Kindle and it won't ruin the screen. I could wipe it off. And so on and so forth. So it is a mother's dream, the Kindle, especially for long books. And I won't break the spine or anything like that. So that is my project. Oh, what's wrong? That is my project to unseat Infinite Jest. I also was looking for long Mammoth book recommendations, preferably ones that are over 1,079 pages. You see, I'm really dedicated to kick Infinite Jest to the curb. I'm ready to evolve past David Foster Wallace, and that is exactly what I'm going to do in 2022. So wish me luck on my project. Leave me recommendations down below for incredibly long books. If you have them that are worth reading, that have, that are just incredible, okay? That's what I'm looking for, a wonderful, incredible experience, something that I can really grow as a reader. So let me know. I am curious, and that is it for me, you all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and me and Harry's feistiness are going to say goodbye. Bye, guys.